Welcome to another edition of EJH British Cars. Today we're going to take a break from the TR2 restoration because we're waiting on some parts. And we're going to do a little bit of work on my TR4. And I thought I might take that opportunity to give you a little tour around the car, and maybe we'll take it for a short ride after. So this is my TR4. You may have seen it on some of the run videos. It was built in December of 1961, so it's a really early car, and there are several differences between the early cars and the later cars, and we will go over them in a minute. I restored this back, I finished it up in 2003, so about 20 years ago. I guess I haven't put all that many miles on it since, I think 14,000 or so. And this is the color it was originally, British Racing Green. And it didn't have an interior when I got it. I'm assuming it was probably black because they almost always are. But I upgraded a bit there. Leather seats, wool carpets from the Magic Carpet Factory. And this is a koa wood dashboard by Prestige Auto Woods in San Jose, California. I don't know if they're still around. He was talking about retiring. And it's a Les Liston steering wheel, which looked awful when I got it. It wasn't broken or cracked, but the wood looked like that fence right there. And so lots of sanding and varnishing and all that got it back. So it's an early car. It has domed gauges, so you can see. It has the early style seats, which are more like a TR3 seat, but they have this low spot, a little more springiness around your butt, which is kind of nice. And there's still one is fixed and one driver's side is fixed. Passenger side has the seat pulls forward. Still has the removable hood stick cover or roof, and then of course the hood sticks go under here. And we did a bit of engine. Of course, we rebuilt the whole car. I mean, everything. Engine, transmission, axle, suspension. Had the frame off, had the body acid dipped. And when we built the motor, I breathed on it a bit. So we have 40 DCOE Webers. There's a header. It's a hardened valve train. There is an oil cooler. You can just see the lines down through the gap in the radiator. This is a TR3 snout, so it could put a yellow fan on and put it on the right way around, and that works really well. No, it didn't come that way, but it's a nice change. It still has a generator, have a torque reduction starter. It's got a Kastner D-grind cam, an original D-grind, and this is one of Herman's battery hold downs. The guys who make Herman Ackerman, I think it is. He passed away several years ago, but he's the guy who made the 5-speed conversion kits for the Toyota engines. Also added auxiliary hood latch release, just in case the cable ever breaks. And, oh, there's something interesting. I don't know how familiar you are, but most TR4s, they crack here and on the other side, particularly on the other side. This is an early car, has a short bubble hood, so it cracks on both sides. So I welded them up, but then I made these gusset plates, and I made them to sort of match those ones down there, and that's worked well. No cracks. Both sides I did. Unless I tell people, nobody really even seems to notice. So that's good. Get the spacer in there, which is for the oil cooler. Got an original sport coil for it. It's got a Petronic ignition in it. 4-speed with overdrive. And we have TR6 72 spoke wheels on it, because I drive hard. Like I say, everything came apart. New valances front and rear I replaced. I think I replaced one floor and then a half a floor on the other side. Because new wiring harness, new bumpers and overriders. So it's been a really nice car. I've had a couple of long trips on it, had it down to LA a couple of times. It's nice on the freeway with the overdrive, I gotta tell you. There's something else that's usually missing out of TR4 is there's supposed to be a piece of felt in here. So this is just I was at a job site and found a piece of underfloor, under carpet layment out of felt. So I've put that in and that stops that rattling. And of course this rubber here which stops this hood prop stick from rattling. It's like a lot nicer. So let's take it up and we'll show you underneath. So we added a sway bar, which was optional equipment back in the day. Maybe before me had added this piece of steel to the frame. I'm not quite sure why. I suppose it does make it stronger. Here's the header. Put a piece of flex in so it would just work better. Then it's a 2-inch pipe, I believe. Front and back. This is an early 4A type exhaust with dual pipes because I really like dual pipes. Of course, it's a solid axle car. Put an electric fuel pump in. Oh, and then these early cars, the factory had TR3 frames left. So they took these frames and they welded on another piece to widen them up. And you can see that's done with a stick. Rather, I think you'll find that the later cars that's done with a machine, so it's a little less messy. I did change to the 3-degree of caster front end. So it's got a square ball joint instead of the round one. And of course it has different trunnions, so they look very much the same. And also, you'll see there's extensions on these pads. So this piece right here, there's the regular pad. In later cars, this pipe is longer, so it bolts there. But on these early cars, they put extensions in. So there's 4 extensions to make them reach. And the early cars, well, maybe it's all TR4s, that the rack is solid mount. Just trying to see if we can see that. Here's the rack up there. There, solid mounts on the rack. Early style. Well, those are later style motor mounts. And of course, the overdrive transmission. And this is, I added this. This is Mylar bubble silvered. Makes a huge difference about keeping the heat out of the inside of the car. And as you can see, it's been leaking a bit of oil. When it's driving, it blows back a bit. I think, if you go up a hill, it comes out of the rear seal. You can see where it's coming out of that drain hole. And we're getting a little bit on the front, but for 20 years worth, that's not bad. You can see this was the new floor. And this is one more. I just replaced a section. Of course, with the body dipped, everything's been repainted. They ever talk about body in white tags? They're right. It's right there. It's what the all steel pressings. I think that's what the company's called that made the bodies. That's how they track these bodies. And they painted them in white paint so that any color could be painted over the top. So all the bodies came to the factory in white. And then were painted subsequently whatever colors they wanted. And here we are with today's problem. So I went to move this the other day, the emergency brake wouldn't release. And I know when I put this together, this little rack was not in the best shape. Well, here's another one. I had one laying around. But these teeth, when you pull it all the way up, these wear. So I'm going to drop this out of here and see if I can't replace that. So let's get started. Well, the first thing we're going to do is drop the emergency brake cable out of here. That's a cotter pin and a steel pin. So then this bolt and these two bolts would hold this onto the frame. We're going to have to take this handle out to get the this end I can undo, but I think the whole thing pulls up through the top, and that's what I'm going to have to disconnect to get it out of the car. And then there's a 1/2-inch bolt with a nylock lock nut on it. Get that out. There we go. I know I've had these apart before. I just gotta remember how I had these apart before. And it kind of looks like there's a pin right there we're gonna have to pull to get this bit by, which is also probably the pivot for the ratchet. There's a tiny cotter pin here, and it's gonna catch it with this tiny saw. Just to get the, there's a little aw to catch the eye. See if we can't pull it out a little bit. There we go. So, a little washer under here. And we should be able to push this pin out. So I wound up just pushing it back in, pulling the pin, and I wiggled this around until this bit fell out. So let's go clean this up a little bit and we'll show you what it looks like. So to disassemble this, you have to push the button way in, and that'll push this out, and then this just lifts off the edge. So this actually has a pretty good shape, and so is the ratcheting mechanism. Not bad at all. So it must have just been sticky. So I'm going to go clean the end of this out with some brake cleaner and whatnot, and then we'll re-lubricate it and put it back together. So while I was busy doing that, I noticed that this strap had cracked, so I just welded that back up. So that was easy enough. And I'm going to put a little nice grease on that. Put that in. Pull back on the end of the strap. And then we just need to get it back in its slot so we can put the pin back through. There we go. There's the pin. Get that hole properly lined up. There we go. So that little roughly assembled. New cotter pin, washer, lubed the shoulder of the bolt going through. That goes in this. It goes into the car. Transmission tunnel there. Driver's side door US over here, left-hand drive. It bolts into the frame that way, and the L faces towards the rear axle. So we just got to go put it back in the car. So it goes in leaning forward. So you just feed it back through the hole. The handle was just caught up in the carpeting. There's a rubber hole through the carpet, or a hole through the carpet that's reinforced with a rubber bung, and it just It didn't go through it. I just need a little help. Oh, that was easy enough. So get those little bolts started first, probably make life easier. There's two. So it actuates this ratchet. Doesn't seem to need to move because it's curved. So you can just tighten that bolt up. No problems. And then we need to put this back. And of course we're going to need a new cotter pin and a washer. And here it is all back. So you can see it's all moving. Nice new cotter pin there and there. New nylock nut on that because the other one was getting kind of old. And you can see this just running back through the frame. One thing I forgot to talk about earlier, have the finned aluminum rear brake drums. This came from the Roadster factory. Just a nice little addition. Start it with the button. Here we go. So close. There we go. Not bad. Well, let's button this up and take it for a ride. And away we go. So apparently the city decided to honor my British car collection, and they've put a roundabout in about an eighth of a mile from the house here. The blue panel van is just entering it now. It can be fun when there's not a lot of traffic about. Because it'd be nice if they fix the road a little bit. It is a bit lumpy out here. I'm surprised how much traffic there is. It's Saturday afternoon. Figured it'd be a bit lighter than that. It's about 6:30 at night. Oh well. Still have a little fun. I don't know what it is. It doesn't matter what you do, you never get this light green. You always have to wait. There we go. And overdrive. Nice, 2,000 RPMs is just about 50 miles an hour. Makes a big difference out on the freeway. This light's never green either. So overdrive actually works in second, third, and fourth. Not that you hardly ever use it that way, but having that fourth over is nice. And if you're running, I've run a couple of times up in like mountainous areas, and third straight and third overdrive is kind of fun if you're sort of, canyon cruising or whatever they call it. Just sort of kind of a useful range. Third overdrive is just about halfway in between third and fourth. Fourth overdrive is one full step, basically. I suppose if you were drag racing, you could use second gear overdrive. It doesn't seem much point if you're just out on the street. So my friend Jerry, who I got my first TR4 from, he bought his brand new, said that when he lived in New York, he used to use second overdrive a lot in traffic, because you just sort of, you can start off in second, and then you kind of stop and go traffic kind of stuff, and you get going a little faster, just second overdrive, and back into second out. So sort of a semi-auto transmission. So there's overdrive in third. There's fourth, it's a little bit slower. Fourth overdrive. It's kind of tough with the overdrive switch here, because it was designed when a right-hand drive car, but you're trying to overdrive and shift at the same time. You're always kind of, crossing your hands up like this to do it. Jerry, he replaced the heater fan switch with another pull switch, and that's where he used to shift his overdrive from. I don't remember what he did with the heater fan. That was a long, long time ago. I got that car in 1974. It would have been, 19 years old? Thought it was ancient. It was a 12-year-old car. I thought it was so old. Now, this one is 62 years old, 63 years old. And it doesn't seem that old to me anymore. I guess the vision of youth. Here we are back at the homestead. My old pickup truck standing guard on the end of the driveway. Get the garage door open. Here we go. Well, I hope you enjoyed your ride. It's really pretty nice out right now. It cooled off a little bit. It's probably only about 70. So just kind of a nice breeze driving around. And there we go. My official driving hat. Oh, I should show you. This one my sister bought me in 1972 when I had my MGB. Yeah, I don't hardly ever wear it anymore, but it's always been hanging on the emergency brake on whichever car I was driving. So I hope you enjoyed that. I did. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and comment. And we will see you on the next one.